Metropolitan Correctional Center, known as the MCC, Lower Manhattan. You know it well.
I saw it being built.
You saw it being built.
U.S. Attorney's Office.
How would you explain it to viewers? How would you describe it?
Well,
what's happening on a Saturday night inside this jail?
So it's a jail rather than a prison. So people don't know the distinction between the jail is a place you hold people when they're awaiting trial. A prison is where you put them when they finally get sentenced. Those are more permanent places. Frankly, they're easier to handle, prisons. Jails are harder because they're very transient. Population in, out every day. However, there's absolutely no excuse for this. What happened here, to me, is mind-boggling. It's impossible to happen. It's a relatively small facility. This isn't Rikers Island, which is 15,000 people in virtually a city with many, many different buildings.
On its own island?
Yeah, one building. Almost everything is within view, if you want it to be, of the guards. This argument over whether he was on suicide watch or not is like silly, because if he wasn't on suicide watch, he should have been on watch. The guy was a high-risk prisoner, wasn't he? I mean, he's a guy that there are probably 50 very important people that have a motive to kill him. We don't even know who they are. I'm not alleging that any of the people named, it's true. But we know there are some people that are in a lot of trouble because of Epstein. They know who they are. So there's tremendous motive to kill him.
It's almost like
Number two,
Agatha Christie
whether they want to kill him or not, prisoners don't like him. Right? He's alleged to be maybe, the most notorious child predator of our generation. Prisoners are strange. Perverts, they don't like. So they'll kill a pervert just to kill a pervert. Second, he's a possible rat also. There's a lot of talk about him testifying. I believe you have to do that. That's good for the government. They believe you're a rat when you do it. So you got three strong reasons why this man may be done in. He might commit suicide. He apparently attempted it. Or he was attacked. That threat still remained even after a week. And the third one is maybe a prisoner on his own is just going to take him out like they did with Whitey Bulger. I do not understand how anyone can explain not having him under 24-hour surveillance or not checking the camera constantly. So that leads to all the speculation that we all are upset about.
Is there a camera?
But we created the vacuum for that crazy speculation.
Is there a camera?
Of course there's a camera. It wasn't working, they said. It wasn't working. The camera wasn't working. There's a camera in every part of a prison. Every single telephone call in and out of prison is listened to. Prisons are prisons. Now, the federal prison system, I used to be in charge of it in the Reagan administration, and then I worked with it for 15 years as an assistant U.S. attorney. The federal prison system is the best in the world. When Norman Carlson ran it, he was the head of it all the time I was there. It was the model. It's hard for me to believe this could possibly happen.
How about this then, Mayor, on screen? This is what we believe to be the case here. Not placed on suicide watch, not checked for several hours, no cellmate at time of death. One guard was a substitute, guards working maximum overtime shifts. The
last two are no excuse. Whether he's a substitute or not, he has eyes. Epstein was not a tough guy to contain. I mean, if you saw him taking a sheet, anybody of reasonable build or courage could take him down, and he could call for help right away. So whether he was a substitute or not, who cares? That's silly. They were overworked. Okay, but this is the prime target prisoner in that prison. Name the one that's in more jeopardy than this guy. And okay, we don't have great sympathy for him because he's a sexual predator, allegedly. But the guy would have been a treasure trove of very important, valuable information about the truth or the falsity. And I happen to believe there's both in these stories that are coming out. There are people that are probably named that did it, and there are people that are probably named that are being horribly defamed. Only he knows it. And he's the kind of guy where you probably couldn't let him out of jail, or maybe you could give him a little light at the end of the tunnel. But maybe you could appeal to his making it right by telling the truth. Who knows?
You make sure he lives. July 23rd was the incident where he was found in his cell. He either tried to harm himself, or as you point out, perhaps the cellmate was in it to harm him. He was taken off suicide watch a week later, so that's August 1st. He's found dead in his cell on August 10th.
I also don't understand. I never heard of the policy you're on suicide watch for a week. You're on suicide watch for as long as you have the conditions that indicate you might commit suicide. The conditions yesterday or the day before were no different than the day that he attempted suicide, meaning he was in prison. He was looking at a life in prison. He was looking at going from this prison to probably even more rigid conditions of confinement. Tough guy to go to a prison, right? You send this guy into a prison population, they're gonna, you know what's gonna happen to him, right? So what is he gonna do? Either gonna get a terrible death in prison, or he's going to be locked up in solitary confinement the rest of his life. But with that condition remained on the day that they took off the suicide watch. Are they crazy?
With regard
you got to be nuts.
With suicide watch as a conversation, I have a conversation with you. I want to gauge your mental state. That's what they are charged with doing inside this jail. So they clearly had conversations with him and his lawyers, likely, over a period of 10 days, and said it's okay to go ahead and take you off watch.
10 days?
I understand suicide watch. The sheets you were given are made of paper. Is that true?
That is true, yes.
Okay, and he hung himself with a bed sheet.
Right. Never should have had bed sheets. But we can go beyond that. His room should have been guarded because there was every possibility some prisoner that got loose would get in there and stab him, kill him, choke him, make it look like he was hung. The desire to kill him in that prison was very high. He was the guy they most wanted to kill in that prison. Of all the prisoners there, he's the guy one of those prisoners would love to kill just to have that on his creds. And probably nobody would turn him in if he did it. So he would feel a certain sense of protection. You got to understand a prison. Of course they understand it. The people running that understand it. It would be very hard for me to understand the explanation as to why this man wasn't watched 24 hours a day.
3 more questions quickly. Could it be simple negligence?
Yes, it could be simple negligence.
Do you believe that Epstein killed Epstein?
I don't know. I think I have to step back and say I don't know what to believe. I think the Attorney General gives me great confidence that there's going to be one heck of an investigation. That guy is tough as nails. And that's the saving grace here. Because this has to come all out. Whatever it is, all the facts have to come out. Otherwise, these conspiracy theories are going to run wild.
And you were cautious on that yesterday.
I am. I'm very cautious.
You made a public statement on Twitter. You said, let's hold your fire and let's wait for the facts.
I think it's ridiculous to start speculating that this person had a motive and that person had a motive. Everybody has motives. That doesn't mean they would participate in the killing. That's ridiculous to try to extrapolate like that. The fact is, the man was found in his cell. It now looks like something was put around his neck, either by him or someone else, and he was hung. Now we got to take the next step. There are 3 possibilities, right? He hung himself. A prisoner, just for that, what happens in prison, killed him, because he's the kind of guy they kill in prison. Or number 3, somebody from the outside organized this. And the guards either did it negligently, or we could have a Brella situation.
When do you believe we get those answers? When is that?
Probably gonna take a couple weeks. It's a tough investigation, but a short one. It's nothing like the other investigation he's conducting of interference in the election, which has many pieces to it. One place, small real estate, a lot of big questions.
Okay, so there's a couple of theories that I had about this. First of all, I really love Rudy Giuliani's intuition when it comes to these things. He pointed out a bunch of things that were very, very important. So I boiled it down to 2 theories about what actually happened. Number 1, his testimony would definitely implicate Bill Clinton as one of his customers going to the island and entertained by underage children on those high-profile flights going to Epstein's island. So one theory is that Clinton, or people who work for Clinton, didn't want him, for lack of a better term, snitching or ratting on their involvement. So they assassinated him. And I'm not saying it's Clinton. It could be, many other people as well. Anybody who's been entertained by his services and wanted him silenced while he was in processing in jail. But the fact is that the Epstein ring or client list is massive, beyond what people have been led to believe in the news. a lot of high profile clients. And we'll never know the truth of it because these people are so powerful. Money, it seems, people can be easily bought these days. And when Giuliani was talking about how so many things went wrong, he has the bedcloth, for example, to hang himself rather than paper. None of the cameras are working. The guards are overworked. There's nobody watching his cell, and so on and so on and so on. Leads me to believe that there is a high probability of assassination, given the fact that, of course, he pointed out that even many of the prisoners wanted him eliminated because they hate perverts, which, you know, he is arguably, and I agree with that point, the biggest sex predator of our time. Absolutely. This guy had children, uh, probably, I don't even want to guess how young. The record, I think, is 12 to 15-year-olds. And God knows what kind of grotesque fantasies that they were fulfilling for their customers on the flights and on the Epstein Island. But we know that he was in high demand by several high profile, powerful, wealthy individuals who were willing to pay a great deal of money. The second theory that I have is that Epstein lives. And I know many of you will find that to be nothing more than a conspiracy theory, but here it is nonetheless. It is well documented in history that doppelgangers are created for men in the status where they feel like there's a high probability of assassination. So Saddam Hussein is one of them. Another instance of it is when a regime, typically China, wants to come in and control you. So what they do is they assassinate the original leader of whatever political body it happens to be or political station and replace it with one of their own people. And that person will get corrective plastic surgery done to match the victim, to make a very convincing doppelganger, and essentially will replace that person in office. They will never know that the person was killed, but you'll know by the actions of the doppelganger because they will begin behaving in the interest of, say, the Chinese party. And this is an extreme situation, but it's not unheard of. Particularly in Vietnam, I know of instances of that occurring. They just replace them with their own people. And so I don't know how it came to me exactly, but I said, a person of Epstein's stature and wealth and connections, and also the fact that Giuliani is quite right, that he faces life imprisonment probably well past when he's going to die, and he is of imminent danger of being killed by his inmate, the surrounding inmates. So he faces death ultimately, one way or another. And I said to myself, well, a guy like that, could he arrange a coordination for something like a body switch? And we all know that stuff from TV and whatnot, but you know what's weird is that in our time, the power of money seems to be able to buy just about anything. And I wonder if it could have bought his freedom. So essentially, they fake his death. They replace the body. Like, I have zero trust in any of the infrastructure of that prison. including the collection of the body and the details surrounding his death. And the evidence is that it's completely shrouded in incompetence. Incompetence that, as Giuliani pointed out, the prison itself has protocols in place that prevent this kind of incompetence. And because it happened to be this special prisoner, there is tremendous incompetence surrounding his particular case. And I think that's the key. It's purposeful incompetence. So one would be to, of course, arrange for his death, and another would be to arrange for him to escape imprisonment and to put a phony body in there, and fake the coroner report and fake the identification and whatnot. Like, I mean, you know, when it's funny that people, when they see it on the official headlines that he's dead, most people don't question it at all. They already take it as sort of like gospel, essentially. It's like, are you crazy? Yeah, the man is dead. And I'm saying that you need to look at it a little bit deeper. Look at that guy's power. Imagine his power and his wealth, his influence. It's a tremendous amount. And what the man knows, based on his personal clients, could incriminate them. He's a very he's a despicable and a low human being. And I don't know if for sure if he would snitch on any one of his clients, because it'd be very unprofessional for him, and it would mean death. So I don't believe really that he's going to divulge anything. But I don't know where the theory came from, but I said to myself, if anybody could arrange for something like that, it'd be him. So the monster Jeff Epstein is destroyed, and he gets some plastic surgery, some other things done, and take on a new identity and continue his work. And to me, it's perfect. All he has to do is distance himself from anything very incriminating. Maybe he takes up residence in China. Who knows? But to me, it's so fantastic. It's actually fathomable. And I thought I'd share it with you because there's something that is really troubling about it. And the Epstein case, what you have to pay attention to is that this thing is being sealed up like mad. I look at this thing and it reeks of a cover-up because of so many people that are likely involved, high political profiles in the United States, who will be implicated, and I'm sure that evidence could be brought forth against them and incriminate them as sex criminals, essentially. But the fact of the matter is that there is no justice because the people who are investigating the problem are they themselves criminals. And it's one of the sad things, the sad truths about the United States, that if nobody is really willing to uphold the rule of law, especially people in committees or senators or congressmen or whoever it is, Supreme Court justices, if they're unwilling to uphold the rule of law and the Constitution and so many things, criminals will get away and continue getting away with terrible injustices, and all in the name of money. I tell you, it's sad to admit it, but lots of people are easily bought. Easily bought. I don't know how much it'll take, but sooner or later, by hook or by crook, by threat or the promise of a lot of money, they yield. They yield. And I believe that the guards were also paid off to turn a blind eye, turn off the cameras. Like I said, this kind of incompetence is unusual. And I really like Giuliani's intuition because he knows. He has so much experience about how the prisons are managed. It's like clockwork. So all these discrepancies of incompetence is very suspicious. It's there's no other word for it. And it's all to do because that's the subject. He's the subject. If it was another prisoner, another day, it's no different. But because it's Epstein, there's a lot of motivation either to kill him or keep him alive, even if it comes from his own pockets. Like, no. So I think So I really wanted to have a discussion about it. I know many people will refute me, but I don't care. Believe nothing. Believe nothing that is official, I might say, from the perspective of the media or anything like that. People who were there, I would I would even question people who are there that they would lie to the death in order not to give up the scheme, because the rule is never ever 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 give up the scheme. When you snitch, you give up the scheme. That scheme is forever compromised, so they can't use it again. That's the idea. Something that Saul Alinsky taught Hillary Clinton. So, and I'll leave it to you, the comments below, and what you think about this idea. So, thanks for watching.